another. So I'm just doing just but anyway, this time we're going to SCB Tales, and if we're this on the new channel, less than 300 subscribers. If you don't know, if you are the new channel, I just put this up. If it says yes or no, or I'm on my main, which means this SCP Tales is just going to be not really much about anything. Yeah. So let's search SCP Tales. I'm doing the wrong. Okay, Tales Hub. Welcome to Tales Hub. Tales Hub is SCP is Tales in the universe of SCP. We're going to search what we should do, which tale I want. Fancy. Mm, fancy bureaucracy. Actually, let's do time travel and alternate history. Let's see that. Watching a random one, but this is a little beginning. Okay, we're doing this Cretaceous scientist one just because, well, it'll probably be funny. Why are you singing the voice? Wrong voice.
SCP Origins, Cretaceous physicist, plus 8 plus X.
With that,
65 million
it
years
probably
ago,
is a
the knife is plunged
SCP.
into Dr. Bilirubov's chest. Warm blood trickles from out of the wound.
Not
She screams as the serrated blade cuts deeply into her flesh. This world needs to
a
end,
doctor
declares
is
General
dying.
Dawn. He is pressing her against the hard, cold floor. Can't you see it? This world is infested with inferiority. Billions of our kind are rotting away. Pathetic creatures that care for nothing more than delighting in pleasure. We are doomed for extinction, and if we do not act now there will truly be nothing left us in a million years. Bilirubov is drowned in the pain. Never in her decades has she received a wound so painful, so severe, that she cannot even think straight. Her vision becomes hazy. She can feel the life within her slowly
you
seep
got
away.
into the stomach.
So tell me, the general hisses, where is the detonator? The detonator to the reactor. It siphons atomic energy right out of another universe. It had been built by brilliant minds far greater than any today many years ago. And powering anything the mind can conceive of: phones, televisions, vehicles, entire buildings, and so on and so forth. The greatest source of energy to ever grace the world. And it is about to end the world. General Dawn drives the blade deeper into Bilirubov's chest.
This sounds
The
interesting.
pain jolts her awake and she screams from the top of her lungs. She can taste her own blood. Think about this, Dr. Bilirubov. When the weak of our species dies, the strong will emerge from the ashes. Hundreds of warcrafts have already been prepared to evacuate from the planet, just waiting for my signal. And when I'm on board, with my armada in the orbit of the planet, I will press the detonator and see every ounce of weakness. He said the last word with such poise in his voice, perish from the world. May the weak go extinct. The general's words are like the ramblings of a madling. To know that she had served so many years under the thumb of an individual, no, a creature like this disturbs her. The reactor rumbles quietly in the background.
Oh, blah, blah.
Best described as a sphere within sphere. There are dozens of rings that rotate around, too blinding to look at for too long. With each rotation, if one stands close enough, one can feel a pulsating wave of pure energy go through their body and soul. That pulsating feeling goes on in the background, like a ticking clock waiting for the midnight hour of doomsday. Bilyeva can hardly breathe. Where is it, doctor? Hisses General Don. A mad grin has spread across his face. He is putting his entire weight onto the knife, driving it deeper and deeper into her ribcage. Soon it will pierce her heart and that will be the end of her. And soon the general will find the detonator right in her lab coat pocket, that she had been in the midst of bringing somewhere safe. She had no more concrete thoughts than that other than to bring it away from the mad general. The fate of the world and maybe even the entire universe rested in her hands. Dr. Bilyeva takes an agonizing, deep
How
breath.
did he survive
With the
this?
strength that is still left in her body, Bilyeva reaches into her lab coat pocket and pulls out a small metallic device with a button on it, the detonator. She can practically see how the general's eyes widen. His grin grows wider. So you do see. The general can even finish his thought. Dr. Bilyeva presses down on the button. Alarm sirens sound and the entire floor that they are on shakes. There is utter horror in the general's eyes as he backs off from the doctor and stares at the reactor. A reactor that is about to explode. Why you fool. You've doomed us all. With that, the general sprints into the other direction. A hearty cough and a lowly chuckle escapes Dr. Bilyeva's lips.
I
Asterisk.
thought you were going to
The
survive.
ground is rumbling.
You're strong.
The entire planet is. Dr. Bilyeva has retreated into a small chamber with a few medical supplies to treat her wounds. Not that it will do much to prevent the utter inevitability of the end of the world, but it is the thought to her that counts. She hopes that her people will forgive her, if they do find out, and if there are any still standing afterwards. She hopes that she has done the right thing and that by killing the general and his armada she has saved the universe from a fate worse than utter annihilation. There is a bright flash of light. Dr. Bilyeva closes her eyes. Asterisk. Present day. Like from a deep slumber, Dr. Bilyeva awakes. The air is thin, making it hard to breathe. It feels like she is about to suffocate. The door to the small chamber is opened. Light floods in, blinding her. She covers her eyes and instinctively retreats back into a dark corner. Her tail knocks into nearby equipment. Their clattering to the floor
Her
pierces
tail?
her ears. Through the light that is shining so intensely from the open door there stand dark silhouettes. These figures stare down at the huddled up form that is Dr. Bilyeva. She feels a fear like she has never felt before.
Oh, they're dinosaurs. They're dinosaurs. They're dinosaurs. That makes sense now. That's actually kind of clever. They're dinosaurs.
Holy shit, says one of the figures. They stand motionlessly at the door. Is that? One of the figures speaks into a handheld device. Their voice is shaky and raspy. Control, we have discovered a foreign specimen at the origin of the tachyon spike. A few seconds pass in silence. Then the handheld device cackles to life again. Noted, Agent. Can you elaborate on the specimen? The agent looks at their partner, then back down at Dr. Bilyeva. Control,
And-
specimen resembles a member of Pachycephalosaurid.
Yep, that's a
Asterisk.
dinosaur.
Item hashtag SCP-317. Object class, pending.
R317.
Special containment procedures, pending. Description: SCP-317 is a sapient female dinosaur of a previously unknown species of Pachycephalosaurid. SCP-317- is the fire-damaged remains of what is believed to have been a time machine. Preliminary testing of the intact components revealed high concentrations of highly unstable tachyon particles, one at which point all testing was halted and SCP-317- was disassembled. Further research is ongoing. Notes, it's not just the...
Wow, they're doing SCP. Okay, so I went random there. So let's see what Freezan 15 is classified. Safe. Who knew? But anyway, let's look for another and then maybe another SCP tail. And then we finish everything up. That was probably straight figure out how to 10 minutes. Then stretch out was really beautiful. Dave. Hmm. 1 second. Okay, so back again. Okay, so let's see. Wait. Okay. SCP and let's see. SCP-15. Let's see what this is. Ooh, safe class. Interesting. Oops. And now.
SCP Foundation. Secure. Contain. CP-2515. Rating. Plus 262 plus. Item hashtag. SCP-2515. Object class. Safe.
I haven't.
Special containment procedures. SCP-2515-A is to be secured in a sterile storage chamber at Site 77. To prevent the object's degradation, the storage chamber's temperature must be maintained at 20 degrees Celsius, and its relative humidity at 45%. SCP-2515-A is to be stored in complete darkness while not in use, and is to be examined daily by a curator from the Department of Antiquities for instances of Anthrenus verbaci 1.
What
Any
is
digital photography of SCP-2515-A is to be considered a Class C information breach, subject to disciplinary action. Film photography of SCP-2515-A is permissible for research regarding SCP-2515-B with explicit permission from the site director. All instances of SCP-2515-B and the film used to develop them are to be immediately destroyed following experimentation. Description: SCP-2515-A is a 1.3 mx 2.0 m oil painting in the style of Jacques-Louis David, which was acquired in a raid on the Paris residence of anomalous art dealer. SCP-2515-B is the designation given to all photographs of SCP-2515-A and all instances of SCP-2515-B. SCP-2515-A is an equestrian portrait of Napoleon Bonaparte, depicted holding an electric lantern II, inscribed with the words Ultimate Fide 3 as his army marches through a mountain pass in the dark. To the right, a group of 4 soldiers is depicted holding up a bronze statue of an armored female figure, carrying a square and compasses, on a pedestal inscribed with the words Dia Ebro before. In the background of the painting, a star fort is visible at the foot of the mountain pass being crossed. The fort is surrounded by corpses, and the perspective is such that a pool of a fluid, typically identified by viewers as blood, can be seen within the fort. The anomalous effects of SCP-2515 manifest for the duration that an individual views SCP-2515-A, or an instance of SCP-2515-B. While viewing either, individuals may claim to have knowledge about SCP-2515-A, despite SCP-2515 not being found in any historical or cultural records accessible by the Foundation. Once affected individuals stop viewing SCP-2515-B, the anomalous effects cease. The depth of the individual's knowledge is consistent with the level of their educational attainment regarding art history, which can range from having no knowledge to being able to give a detailed interpretation of the elements of SCP-2515-A5. As of yet, no information given by affected individuals about SCP-2515-A has been contradictory. Plus Interview Report 2515-04. Interview Report 20. Interview at D77-9275, art historian and political dissident from. Interviewer, Dr. Chen, Level 2 researcher. Forward, interview conducted over intercom system. Dr. Chen has not previously viewed SCP-2515-A, or an instance of SCP-2515-B. Begin log. Dr. Chen, D77-9275, what do you see on the wall in front of you? D77-9275, no verbal response. Dr. Chen, D77-9275,
so he's looking at the wall.
I repeat, what do you see on the wall in front of you? D77-9275, speaking slowly. If I am to believe my own eyes, the original Napoleon crossing the Urals. Dr. Chen, that is correct. D77-9275, who was the artist behind the painting? D77-9275, Napoleon crossing the Urals is the last great work of Jacques-Louis David, completed during his final years as Napoleon's court painter in the year 18,226. Dr. Chen, D77-9275, could you elaborate on the historical background of the painting? What does it depict? D77-9275, It's a scene from the Siberian Campaign, the crossing of the Pass of Napoleon, which, as you might expect, was named after this particular incident. Dr. Chen, D77-9275, tell me more about this Siberian Campaign. D77-9275, well, I'm sure you know the BAS. Dr. Chen, cutting D77-9275 off. No, I don't.
What did he say?
D77-9275, redacted. Dr. Chen, going back to the painting, what can you tell me about the lantern that Napoleon is holding? D77-9275, the inscription on the lantern reads Lumen Fide, which is Latin for light of faith. Notice how the lantern is the only light source in the entire painting? David was telling us, the viewers, that only faith in can illuminate and enlighten the world. Look at it in the distance, their barbaric fortress is shrouded in darkness. Even the light of cannot enlighten them. No, David shows us that they must be enlightened by force. Dr. Chen, is the statue of Europa a depiction of D77-9275? Not exactly.
I
No.
hate.
The statue of Europa bears a double meaning in
Well,
Napoleon
actually, I
crossing
like
the
it.
Urals. To the masses, Europa represents the god of Europe, the Christian god of Europe, of course. Not so to the neo-Gnostic elites like Napoleon and David. To them, Europa was the embodiment of logic, reason, and the divine enlightenment of the European continent. The statue of Europa is an allegory for, certainly, but it is not a depiction of. In fact, David and the neo-Gnostics would never have even spoken of, whom they never knew of by name. Dr. Chen, if that's
I
the case,
do not
how
know
did they
what
know of
any of that is.
D77-9275, the impact of the scientific revolution extended far beyond the scientific domain. With the widespread dissemination of Newton's Principia, the concept of a clockwork universe became increasingly popular among the European literati. What began as a form of natural philosophy gradually transformed itself into a matter of religious doctrine, as debate raged over the first cause of the clockwork universe. The winners of the debate were advocates of what we know of as the first cause of the clockwork universe, and unwittingly resurrected his worship. They laid the foundation for the neo-Gnostic movement of Napoleon and David's time, and with it, the conflict against what the neo-Gnostics saw as the demiurge across the Urals. Dr. Chen, I have one last question for you today. You mentioned the fortress in the background briefly, but could you elaborate more about it? D77-9275, certainly.
I'm getting a
The Empire
headache.
adopted star forts from the
Sometimes
Europeans,
it's
but they
difficult
modified
to
them to
know.
their own ends. Look at the corpses, piled up around the fortress, and the pool of blood in the center. After battles and raids, they would take prisoners to their fortresses, where they would perform their ancient rite of exsanguination. Drop by drop, they bled out their victims into their banks of coagulated blood, preserved to fuel their future rituals. Corpses, too, were valuable
This
resources.
will be saved for
Piled
later.
up around fortresses, corpses disheartened and diseased any approaching army. Furthermore, once their enemies were close at hand, they could perform their rite of
Yeah,
consumption.
definitely saved the
What this
later.
particular rite entailed is still a matter of Nice Journal of the Siberian Campaign, a description of its aftermath. 100 drops, 1,000 rose. 1,000 rose, 10,000 fell. Needless to say, assaulting fortresses was hardly a trivial maneuver, even for Napoleon's continental army. Dr. Chen, after a pause. That's enough for today. You will be escorted back to your chamber. End log. Closing statement. After the interview was concluded, Dr. Chen submitted a request to reserve D77-9275 for future testing of SCP-2515. The request was approved by the active site director. Footnotes. 1. Commonly known as carpet beetles. 2. An anachronism. 3. Latin for light of faith. 4. Possibly an allusion to Roma, the personification of the city of Rome, whose statue appears in David's The Lictors Bring to Brutus the discipline. Tane. Protect.
Hmm. Space opera. Utopian. Let's do Utopian. It's unique for the SCP universe, but it's funny. I wonder, can I have? Hmm. Actually, I'll do world building. World building. Yeah, world building. Give me a second. I gotta prepare. Okay, let's go to this. Hello, everyone. This is
SCP Foundation. In 2023, archaeologists working for the Ministry of
a
Culture of Peru discovered a subterranean
SCP
structure near
Foundation
Maras,
tale.
10 km north of Cusco. The repository was constructed of large dry stone and is dated between 1465 to 1478, the height of the Inca Empire. Found within were over 800 perfectly preserved quipu, a type of recording device made of knotted strings that was common in pre-Columbian Andean societies. While typically used to record economic, demographic, or military data, these quipu were discovered to possess anomalous properties and were seized by the Foundation. The anomalous properties of the protectors of Inti quipu activate when an instance is held by a woman over 6 of age. This subject is drawn into a trance state, in which she begins to recite the information documented on the quipu. This information is spoken in Southern Quechua, and is only audible to women over 36 years of age.
Okay,
The text
so
of the
it's
quipu appears to have been composed by an anomalous normalcy organization that was active within the stretches of the Inca Empire. No information on such an organization has been found in the Site 4 archives, suggesting the protectors of Inti fell rapidly alongside the Empire. The
yep,
Protectors of Inti
that
archive
makes
is held in the
sense.
Site 43 archives and revision
The
section for
grouping just
digitalization and
died with
analysis.
its empire.
Double-spouted ceramic vessel discovered within the Protectors of Inti archive. POI transcript 001. Type: immovable, Kuntinsuyu. Required resources: 1 MITA laborer, 1 perpetually. 4 MITA laborers, each Imure 2. 10 local men, each Imure. 12 llamas, each Imure. Estimated cost of failure. Year 1, 100 families. Year 2, 800 families. Year 3, 10,000 families. Year 4, 50 families. Year 5, 0 families. Conclusion. Method. Population is warded from the monkey at all times. Land is protected by a single man.
I do not
Ritual
get
is
any of
executed
this.
yearly, on the 16th day of Imure. Midma 3 of Nazca Village indefinitely deferred. Story: after Topa Inca Yupanqui's mighty victory over the Chimu, he traveled back to Cusco through the Nazca Desert, subsuming towns in Kuntinsuyu. Here, his men discovered a geography of angular waves. In the center was a tower 20 Ritka 4 tall,
We're gonna do this
which curved into an arithmetic spiral of concentric circles, 20 Ritka in diameter. When the men set on the geography, a mouth appeared from below them and ate them. When the men used their slings to strike the tower, a mouth appeared from below them and ate them. The Sapa Inca, Topa Inca Yupanqui, sent men to the nearby village for information on the creature. They described the tower as the tail of a monster created by their ancestors. They described it as a Huacapod created by men. The Chimu attempted to use the force of their great empire to fight it, but lost at least 1,000 men in the attempt. The creature gets hungry and thirsty every year, and its hunger may be unbounded. Contact: the protectors of Inti were officially informed of the monkey 4 days later, but no actions were taken at this time. The people of the small nearby village, Nazca, resisted Topa Inca Yupanqui's might and refused to pay tributes. The Huacapod was claimed for the Sapa Inca's collection and the population was subjected to Mitma, resettled in Calasuyu. The following year, the monkey awoke and began to eat the inhabitants of nearby towns. At this time, the Sapa Inca was conquering lands further north, so the magistrate sent runners to inform the Q6 of the disaster by use of the great roads. By the time the protectors of Inti arrived 12 days later, the great monkey had returned to its resting place. It was angry and hungry, but exhausted. 2 small towns, 64 families, were destroyed in this attack, and the Q saw that the beast would be powerful enough to reach throughout Kuntinsuyu if it became angry again. This is when the protectors of Inti established the current control method. Fortunately, the 40 survivors among the resettled Nazca community were easily located by their high-status women wearing fish-patterned garments and the distinctive ancient pottery they took with them. Despite the deaths of their village elders during relocating, communal knowledge proved sufficient to establish control over the monkey. Object: honored Huaca. Giant monkey, embedded in the ground of geometric waves. It is not located on a site I.7. Honored Huaca. 1,000-year-old piece of pottery with 2 touts. It shows a killer whale holding a trophy head. Allows a man to approach the monkey, in order to provide it with 3 pots of water. Ritual: the creature is kept alive and dormant through an annual ritual. 12 men drink chicha 9 appropriate for a harvest festival, and walk the entirety of the lines drawn at the peak of the monkey's platform, while 4 men in the designated area perform a 24-beat percussion. The men sing a song similar to the Chicha, clapping their hands on the 4 beats. Each time the 12 men reach the end of a segment, 1 man releases the water content of the pottery in the monkey's mouth. The ritual lasts from noon to sundown. Following the ritual, 12 llamas are to be led to the platform and fed to the creature. Celebration: the monkey expects to observe freeform dance, music, and chicha consumption following the conclusion of the ritual. If the delegation fails to provide this, the monkey eats all men present. Update: estimated cost of failure confirmed following the calamity of the Spanish invasion. Huaca have become inactive. Concluded. Licensing/citation. Footnotes: 1. A mandatory service within the Inca Empire, in lieu of monetary taxation, i.e. Corby. 2. The 3rd month of the Inca calendar, approximately May. 3, 4, 3,
Well,
7.
I guess they were cooked. So, yeah. Wait, did I forgot to put the screen up? Hopefully I did. Bye. I'm just tired. But anyway, 3, 2, 1.